convert into something tangible, and what would it take for Alex Eala to cross that line? Let's be precise about what has already happened, because the pattern matters. March 2025. Eala, ranked outside the top 140, tears through the Miami Open draw as a wild card. She beats Madison Keys, who at that point is the reigning Australian Open champion and world number 5. She beats Iga Swiatek, the 5-time Grand Slam winner, 6-2, 7-5 in the quarterfinals. She becomes the first Filipino to reach the semifinal of a WTA 1000 event. Jessica Pegula stops her there, but the damage to the old narrative is done. Nobody can say Filipino tennis is a curiosity anymore. And Marcos responds. He calls her a tennis phenomenon. He says her run showed the world what a Filipino athlete is all about, determined, steadfast, and never one to back away from any challenges. The Presidential Communications Office releases an official statement comparing Eala's grit to the resilience of the Filipino people. It is effusive. It is public. And then it ends. No invitation to the palace. No formal recognition. August 2025. The U.S. Open. Eala draws Clara Tauson, seeded 14th. She wins 6-3, 2-6, 7-6, saving a match point in a tiebreak that stretches to 13-11. She becomes the first Filipino man or woman to win a main draw match at a Grand Slam. In the Philippines, the reaction is enormous. Marcos posts again. She's only getting started. Congratulations, Alex, he writes on Instagram. Kasama mo ang buong bansa. The whole country is with you. The PCO backs it up with another release. Again, warm. Again, public. Again, that's it. September 2025. Guadalajara. Eala wins her first professional title at the WTA 125 level, coming back from a set down against Punna Udvardy to take it 1-6, 7-5, 6-3. Marcos declares that history has been written by Alex Eala. He commits, in language, to supporting more Filipino athletes following her path. We will do everything so more Filipino athletes will follow in your footsteps and show the world the heart and talent of Filipinos. But doing everything, in this case, still does not include a medal, a ceremony, or a formal state honor. So there is the record. 3 breakthrough moments. 3 public congratulations from the president. 0 formal awards. Now, is that unfair? The honest answer is complicated. The Presidential Medal of Merit in the Philippines is governed by Executive Order No. 236. It can be conferred on any individual, Filipino or foreign, who has brought prestige to the country in an international event. The language is broad enough that it could apply to Eala several times over. She has done something no Filipino has done in over a century of tennis participation. She has beaten multiple Grand Slam champions on the biggest stages in the sport. She has climbed from outside the top 140 to a career-high ranking of 29 in roughly 12 months. But the precedent tells a different story about what actually triggers presidential action. Hidilyn Diaz received her medal after winning an Olympic gold, the first for the Philippines in 97 years of Olympic competition. Carlos Yulo received his after winning 2 Olympic golds at the 2024 Paris Games. Pang Nepomuceno received his in 1984 after dominating international bowling. In every case, the trigger was an Olympic medal or an event of unmistakable, singular, once-in-a-generation symbolic weight. This is where the conversation about Eala gets complicated, because tennis does not fit the mold that Philippine presidential recognition seems to require. There is no Olympic tennis medal in her pocket. There is no single moment that the entire country watched at the same time, that dominated every news broadcast simultaneously, that became the kind of shared national experience that Olympic gold creates. What Eala has done is cumulative. It is a body of work distributed across months and continents. It is harder to capture in a single photograph or a single headline, even though the achievement, measured objectively, is at least as historically significant as what Yulo accomplished before his Paris medals, when he was already a world champion but had not yet been recognized at the presidential level. This raises a deeper question about how nations recognize athletes and whether the system is accidentally biased against sports that don't conform to the Olympic cycle or to the concentrated drama of a single event. Tennis is a weekly grind. Eala plays roughly 25 to 30 tournaments a year. She wins some matches, loses others. Her ranking moves up and down in increments. There is no final, no podium, no anthem played while she stands alone with a medal around her neck, unless she wins a Grand Slam, which even Marcos himself may not fully understand is an achievement most professional tennis players never reach. The sport's structure works against the kind of clean, cinematographic moment that motivates heads of state to pick up the phone. And yet, what Eala has done in 2026 alone should be setting off alarms in whatever office tracks these things. Her season started with a quarterfinal run at the Abu Dhabi Open, where she beat Alexandra Sasnovich in a gritty comeback before falling to Ekaterina Alexandrova. She followed that with a semi-final in Auckland, beating Magda Linette before pushing Wang Xinyu to 3 sets. She reached the 4th round at Indian Wells, earning over $100,000 in a single tournament. She reached a career-high ranking of 29 in March. Her 2026 record, as of this week, stands at 16 wins against 11 losses, with over $565,000 in prize money earned. She has competed in WTA 1000 events at Doha, Indian Wells, Miami, Stuttgart, Madrid, and now Rome. She beat Wang Xinyu, an Olympic silver medalist, in the 2nd round at the Italian Open. She took the world number 2, Elena Rybakina, the reigning Australian Open champion, to competitive sets in the 3rd round, losing 6-4, 6-3 in a match she described afterward as evidence of genuine improvement. "I do see the improvement on clay court, especially when you compare it to my experience here last year," she told reporters. This is not a player waiting for a breakthrough. This is a player who already broke through and is now consolidating, which is a fundamentally different kind of achievement. It is less dramatic but arguably more difficult. Anyone can have a great week. Sustaining a ranking inside the top 50 across multiple surfaces, multiple continents, and multiple months of competition against the best players on the planet, that requires something structural. Something built into the daily fabric of a professional life. And Marcos, to be fair, has shown that he notices. His praise has escalated over time. The 2025 Miami statement was institutional, a press release with the standard presidential congratulatory language. By the US Open, it had become personal, posted on his own Instagram story. By Guadalajara, he was making forward-looking commitments about supporting athletes. Each time, the language gets a little more specific, a little more attached to Eala as an individual rather than just a national symbol. But there is a gap between escalating praise and formal recognition, and the gap matters. It matters because Rappler has already had to fact-check multiple fake claims that Marcos gave Eala a special presidential award. It matters because those fake posts get thousands of shares, which tells you something about what the Filipino public expects to happen and is confused that it hasn't. It matters because Eala trains in Mallorca, not Manila. She is based at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She competes in a sport that doesn't have a large domestic audience in the Philippines. The only connection most Filipinos have to her career is through these presidential statements and the social media coverage that follows them. When the president speaks about Eala, it doesn't just reflect national pride. For millions of Filipinos, it functionally creates national pride because it tells them this person deserves their attention. So, what would actually trigger a formal award? Let's game it out. Scenario 1. Eala wins a WTA Tour title. Not a 125, but a full WTA event. She has reached one final already at Eastbourne in 2025. If she were to win one of the remaining events this season, and at her current ranking and form, this is within the range of plausibility, the narrative would shift. It would give the presidential communications team a clean headline, first Filipino to win a WTA Tour title. That kind of singular achievement, packaged in a way that even people who don't watch tennis can understand, could be the trigger. Marcos has already demonstrated that he responds to firsts. First Filipino semifinal at a 1000. First Grand Slam main draw win. First 125 title. Each first produced a statement. A WTA title would be the biggest first yet, and the political incentive to formalize the recognition would be significant. Scenario 2. The 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. This is the one that changes everything, and Eala knows it. Tennis at the Olympics carries a weight in the Philippines that tennis on the WTA Tour simply does not. If Eala were to medal in Los Angeles, and at 23 years old, playing on American hard courts, her best surface, against a field that she has already proven she can compete with, the path to a presidential medal of merit would be automatic. Eala and Diaz both received theirs within days of their Olympic victories. The infrastructure of recognition is already built for that scenario. All that remains is the result. Scenario 3, and this is the most interesting one, sustained excellence without a singular crowning moment. What if Eala never wins a Grand Slam, never medals at the Olympics, but spends the next 5 years ranked inside the top 30, consistently beating the best players in the world, accumulating prize money, and representing the Philippines at every major tennis event on the calendar? Does that deserve presidential recognition? It certainly meets the legal criteria of Executive Order 236. Bringing prestige to the country in international events is not limited to winning gold medals. But there is no precedent for it. The Philippine system of athletic recognition is built around peaks, not plateaus. It rewards the moment you stand on top, not the years you spend proving you belong near it. And that tension between the nature of Eala's achievement and the architecture of the system designed to recognize it is the real story here. It's not that Marcos doesn't appreciate her. His words make clear that he does. It's not that the Philippine government is hostile to tennis. It simply doesn't have a framework for what Eala is doing, because no Filipino has ever done it before. She is ahead of her country's ability to process her. There is something worth noting about the way Eala herself has handled this. She has never publicly lobbied for recognition. She has never complained about the gap between Eala's reception and her own. After the Guadalajara title, she posted a photograph holding the Philippine flag, thanked her team, and moved on to the next tournament. After Rome, she wrote "Rome heard me this time. Grazie mille," and started preparing for whatever comes next. Her orientation is forward. She does not seem to need the presidential stamp to validate what she already knows about herself. But that's Eala's perspective. From the perspective of Filipino tennis, of the kids who might pick up a racket because they see someone who looks like them competing at the Foro Italico, the presidential signal matters enormously. Eala's recognition didn't just honor Eala. It told every young gymnast in the Philippines that the state considers your sport worthy of its highest attention. Diaz's medal ceremony at Malacanang wasn't just for Diaz. It was a message to every girl in Zamboanga who might dream of lifting something heavy and being celebrated for it. Eala has not received that message yet, and every month that she continues to compete at this level without it is a month where the implicit message to young Filipino tennis players is, this sport, no matter how well you play it, does not quite count the same way. The math of what Eala has earned in 2026 alone is staggering by Philippine athletic standards. Over $565,000 in prize money. A career high ranking of 29 in a global sport with thousands of professional competitors. Wins over Olympic medalists and Grand Slam champions. A presence at every major WTA 1000 event on the calendar. If you listed those achievements on a page without attaching a name or a sport, and you asked whether the person who compiled them deserved formal state recognition, the answer would be obvious. So can Alex Eala expect presidential praise? She already has it. She has had it 3 times, and the tone keeps rising. What she does not have, and what remains genuinely uncertain, is whether that praise will ever crystallize into something formal. The pattern suggests it will take a WTA title, at minimum, or an Olympic moment to push